Okay, so let's multiply rational numbers. Actually, a little bit easier than adding them, if you remember. All right, so multiplying decimals. Hopefully this will be just a review. Remember that parentheses simply mean that you need to multiply. When there is nothing between the number and the set of parentheses, that means multiply. So here I have 1.1 times 3. So 1.1 times, well, how am I going to line this up? I'm going to line up the last numbers. Remember, this is a little different than addition and subtraction, because addition and subtraction, you have to line up the decimal point. Here you line up the last numbers. Doesn't matter if there's decimal places, no decimal places, what's in those decimal places. You line up the last numbers. So the 3 goes right there. So then you do your multiplication the way you normally would do it. So 1 times 3 will give you 3, and 1 times 3 will give you 3. Now, the trick is you do not bring this decimal point down. You do not do that. You count how many decimal places you had altogether in your factors here, in your entire problem, and then you count off that many in your answer from the end. So I had 1 decimal place right here. This 1.1, that's my one and only decimal place in this problem. So I'm going to count off 1 and only decimal place from the end. So my answer is 3.3. Now right here, I have decimal places in both of them, plus I'm also doing a positive times a negative, which means for sure my answer is going to be negative. So I can just prep it right there, just in case I forget about it later. So this way I don't have to worry about the negative as I'm multiplying. It's already waiting there for me. So I'm going to do my 13.7, and again, I'm going to line up my last number. So there is my 9.2. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply it out. So 7 times 2 is 14. I'm going to carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6. This is going to give me 7. And 1 times 2 gives me 2. Then 0 is a placeholder. 7 times 9 will give me 63. 3 times 9 will give me 27. Plus 6 will give me 33. And then 1 times 9 will give me 9, plus 2 will give me 12. Go ahead and add it up. So 4 and carry the 1. So 7 plus 3 is 10, carry the 1. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then bring down the 2, bring down the 1. And we're going to count how many decimal places we had. So we had 1, 2 decimal places. So we're going to count off 1, 2 decimal places in our answer. All right. Next, multiplying fractions. So multiplying fractions is a lot easier than adding fractions. You actually do not need common anything. All you have to remember to do is multiply across the top and then multiply across the bottom. And of course, keep your signs straight. So this is positive 4/5. This is negative 1/9. Negative times a positive, different signs, the answer is negative. And then I just multiply across the top and I multiply across the bottom. So 4 times 1 gives me 4. 5 times 9 gives me 45. I cannot reduce this at all because 4 and 45 cannot be divided by the same number. And that's it. I'm done. That's all that there is in multiplying fractions. Now, it's a little bit different when you have to multiply mixed numbers or multiply a fraction by a mixed number. You're going to have to turn your mixed number into an improper fraction. So remember, to do that, you multiply the bottom by the top number, and the whole number, and then add the top number. So this will be 6/7 times, let's figure out what this next fraction is going to be. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And then I'm going to keep the 3 on the bottom. Now, here's where you want to try to make your life as easy as possible for multiplication. You know, I could technically go ahead and multiply this out and then reduce it later, but I can actually reduce it now. I want you to see if anything on top can be divided by the same number as anything on the bottom. Well, I have a 6 here and the 3 here. the 6 and the 3 can both be divided by 3. When I divide 3 by 3, I get 1. And when I divide 6 by 3, I get 2. Now, I cannot divide anything else. I mean, 13 and 7 cannot be divided by the same thing. Neither can 2 and 7, so I'm done. At this point, I can go ahead and multiply and watch how much easier this is. Instead of doing 6 times 13, now I'm only going to do 2 times 13, which is 26. That's easy enough to do in your head. And then 7 times 1 is 7. And the last thing you have to do is turn this into a mixed number. You don't want to keep it improper. So we're going to do 26 divided by 7. And 7 goes into 26 3 times because 3 times 7 is 21. And then I'm going to subtract this. So 6 minus 1 is 5. Now I have all of the components that I need. So my answer is my whole number. My remainder is my top. And my divisor is my bottom. And that's it. I'm done. And last but not least, what if you have both fractions and decimals in the same problem? Well, again, you're going to have to make them look the same. So in this case, it is going to be easier to turn your decimals into fractions because you do not need to go through the step of getting common denominators. So I'm going to take this 2.4 and I'm going to take it off to the side and deal with it for a moment. I have 2.4, which means I'm going to go ahead and keep my whole number, which is 2, and then 0.4 is the same as 4 over 10. So I'm going to keep my 2 again, but then I need to reduce this 4 over 10. I can divide both top and bottom by 2. So 4 divided by 2 will give me 2, 10 divided by 2 will give me 5. Now I'm ready to go ahead, take this, and bring it back in. So I'm going to rewrite my problem, negative 4 over 5 times 2 and 2 over 5 times 5 eighths. Another thing I need to do to this 2 and 2 fifths is turn it into an improper fraction. So again, multiply here, add here, and let's rewrite our problem. So negative 4 fifths times 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. So 12 over 5 times 5 over 8. So I have a negative and a positive and a positive. Only one negative, odd number of negatives will give me a negative answer. Next, let's see if I can reduce anything here. Let's see if any of my tops and bottoms can be divided by the same number. Well, one of them is really easy. I have a 5 here on top and I have a 5 here on the bottom. I can just cancel them out because 5 divided by 5 is 1 and 1 times anything is itself. So I can just cross them out and not even worry about them anymore. Next, I want to see if I can divide any other tops and bottoms. Well, 4, 12, and 8 are all even numbers, so let's see what I can do to them. And I can only pick a 4 or a 12 to work with because I only have 1 8 to work with down here. So I'm going to choose to work with 4 because 4 goes into 8 nicely. So 4 divided by 4 will give me 1. 8 divided by 4 will give me 2. And then I can also work with 12 and 2 because 12 is an even number, so is 2. I can divide both of them by 2 again. So 12 divided by 2 will give me 6. 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. Now I can go ahead and multiply across and watch how easy this is going to be. 1 times 6 times 1 is 6. And 5 times 1 is 5. Because we got rid of everything else pretty much. Now all I have is an improper fraction. I need to reduce it. 5 goes, and keep a negative sign. 5 goes into 6 once with a remainder of 1. Keep the 5 on the bottom. And that's it. So we'll work on this more tomorrow. Good luck and see you then.